This is the best way for you to grow. If you are in a scaling phase of your business, this is the best way for you to grow. If you are in a space where you feel stuck, in a space where your nervous system is just kind of all over the place all of the time, if you feel like the connections that you have been making through networking are shallow, I do believe that 2025 is the year for in-person connections, but you need to be highly strategic about the rooms that you're getting yourselves into. And this is why I know that the retreat is the best place for you to be. Buenos dias, don't be rude, say it back. My name is Sloan the Beast. Welcome back to The Beast Den. I am a chaos coach that teaches you how to achieve work-life balance as a really successful, really driven and ambitious woman, and how to do it in a way that doesn't put you on the back burner. Today, we're gonna be talking about all things retreats and why it is that you as a leader need to attend a retreat, how this is going to absolutely catalyze you into being the leader that you absolutely were destined to be. You don't need another masterclass. You don't need another digital course. You don't need to attend another networking event. At this level, those are not the experiences that are really going to give you the highest return of investment, which is your time. So let's go ahead and jump right in. When we think of retreats, oftentimes we think of these beaches in Bahamas, staying in a villa, and we're just vibing with like some random women doing yoga at 6 a.m. and having mocktails during happy hour, right? Or cocktails if that's your thing. Totally cool. No judgment. And that is not always the case, right? There is a retreat for every type of person. There is a retreat for every industry. There's a retreat for every topic. And so I want to share with you today why it is that I believe and have actually experienced retreats being the best way for you to grow as an entrepreneur, for you to grow as a thought leader, for you to grow as an industry expert. So let's start with the fact that a retreat gives you the space for clarity. There are no distractions during a retreat. There is nowhere for you to run. There's nowhere for you to hide because you are locked in for 2 days, 5 days, 2 weeks. Literally, a retreat can be as extensive or as short as the facilitator wants it to be. But depending on how long you're there for, you are locked in. There's nowhere for you to go. You have to face whatever it is you came to face, right? And one question that I really love asking myself when I attend retreats, because I am an avid retreat attender, is who do I have to become in this season? That is the clarity that I'm seeking. So I go in there intentionally seeking answers, not just like I'm here to vibe and have a good time. I'm here to make sure that there's purpose behind this. And again, that return of investment, especially as busy women that are now leaving behind our families, our spouses, our businesses, and our teams, right? You really want to make sure that you're getting the most of it. And a retreat space gives you the clarity to get the answers that maybe you've been stuck on, to get the answers to the questions that you haven't even wanted to ask because you're like, I don't even have the time right now to address those things. I know I'm preaching to somebody today, okay? So a retreat gives you the space for clarity. There's no distractions. There's no kids pulling on you. There's no team member that needs your attention. There's no husband that needs you to cook for him. There's no dog that needs to be taken out, right? It's just you in a space of women that are mirroring exactly what you're going through, exactly how you're feeling. Women that have to show up and perform on a daily basis, who have to show up and make decisions on a daily basis. A retreat creates this space for clarity. The second thing that I want you to consider when you are considering integrating retreats into your overall growth strategy and rest strategy, which is really also what it is that successful people replicate the habits of successful people. Over the last year, as I've already executed a successful retreat. Like I said, I've been to multiple retreats. I'm currently in the launch of a second retreat. This one is my first international retreat in London. Last year we did Las Vegas, and that was a hell of a time. But one thing that I have noticed in my market research is that people that are just starting out in business probably don't attend retreats. They can't seem to justify the value of a retreat. But people who are experiencing massive success and breakthrough in their business, people that are getting themselves in front of the press, people that are getting themselves in speaking opportunities, people that have gotten themselves to a place where they're creating consistent income in their business and are now seen as the industry expert. These are people that are attending a retreat at least on a yearly basis, at least once. I've met people that attend retreats on a quarterly basis. When you see their business model, when you see the way that they show up, when you see the success that they've been having, it's no wonder, because the repercussions of a retreat are felt for years after the fact. And we'll talk a little bit about the after effects or the secondary effects of retreats on your physical being. But right now I want to talk to you about the business results that you will see from attending a retreat. So when I was doing this market research, I realized that the most successful women are putting themselves in these spaces where they are so highly intentional, where the investment is big, but the payoff is 10 times. And that is not an over-exaggeration. The biggest catapult, the biggest quantum shift that you will experience is in a retreat setting. And it is because of the intentionality that's behind it. It's because of the intimacy that's behind it. It's because of the fact that, again, there's no distractions. There's nowhere for you to hide. When you put yourself in this environment, it's no wonder it infiltrates your business. When you are in a space like a retreat, where the container is so highly intentional, very intimate, where the activities are so curated, where all you have space for is to pour into yourself without having to worry about pouring into everybody else, it is no wonder that you see a 3 to 10 times more success rate than any other container. And that moves me into number 3. Retreat attendees are actually 3 times more likely to take action on their goals than in any other container. And this is statistically proven. I will have stats for you down below. Retreat attendees take 3 times more action. Why? Because again, they have that clarity. Because again, they have a space and a group of women who are mirroring exactly how they're feeling. They are no longer the ones in charge. They get to be the ones that are poured into. And when you have a safe environment where you can be vulnerable, where you don't have to show up as the leader, where you could just sit and receive and be, then that opens up space for divine deposits. That opens up space for safe conversations and co-working to exist. Some of the most amazing programs that I have ever had have been directly from conversations that I have had with other retreat attendees that I've attended in the past. We sat there and we would co-work and we would mastermind, and it's a safe environment because you're not the one in charge, because you're not the one that has to know everything and all the answers and all the things, right? You get to just say, hey, this is really where I'm stuck. Has anyone experienced this? What should I do? What action should I take, right? Because again, you're in a room of like-minded women, which means these women do not sit on ideas. These women are going for theirs. It's all gas. So as soon as they get the idea, then the next question is, what elements do we need to have in place in order for that to happen? How can I show up and serve you? What do you need? Maybe I have a connection. That is the difference between a networking event and a retreat. All of a sudden, you have this mastermind style environment with women that know your story, with women that have empathy for you, with women that show up wanting to serve because they have spent days being poured into themselves. Put yourself in that environment and watch as everything shifts for you. Now, kind of like I mentioned already, retreats have actually the highest ROI of any in-person experience. I've talked about it before. 2025 is the year for in-person experiences, but you have to be strategic about where it is that you're showing up. So when we talk about, let's say, a networking event, which I'm not dogging them. I know it sounds like I'm dogging them, but I'm really not. There's a time and a place for everything. And again, you just need to know how to vet which event is the right one for you. When we talk about networking events can take 6 months to build really strong allies, and sometimes more. It is a very long process in terms of building that safety, in terms of building that relationship, in terms of really identifying how it is that you can show up to the best capacity without overextending yourself. Okay, these are things that people don't often think about. You can attend a networking event, but you're not really going to get the most out of it until you've attended 3, 4, 5, 6 networking events with the same people that then allows you to build those relationships. Versus a retreat, because of the way that they are formatted and set up, you establish trust so much quicker. You have a space that is safe because the facilitator has so carefully picked out who it is that's in the room. At least the retreats that I have attended and the retreats that I plan are very highly curated in who's in the group. Now, if we're talking about a mastermind, for example, you go into a mastermind or a workshop or a course, very, very intentional as to what the information is that you're going to learn. Maybe you talk to the girl that's sitting next to you, or maybe you didn't. These are very transactional experiences versus a retreat. You're getting to the core, you're going deep, and you're going deep fast. And that can be a scary place to be, but that's where we experience growth, is in that discomfort. And when you're in a room of other women that also feel that discomfort of, I'm being expanded, I'm being expanded, so I need to build my capacity up, then it makes it a lot easier for you to go through the journey because you have somebody there going through that with you. So I want to talk to you about first how retreats have changed the lives of my specific clients. So I have a client that she actually didn't even get to attend the retreat. And this client, one of the processes that I have in place is we do coaching pre-retreat. That way we're clear on what our goals are and what our intentions are before even landing, before setting foot in the retreat space. And so we're kind of already setting the atmosphere. And in one of our coaching sessions, I gave them an exercise. And so she did the exercise. And when I returned home and we met up, she said, I have to tell you what happened just from that exercise. I didn't attend the retreat, but this is how impactful your coaching exercise was for me. Her mother and herself, she's a very successful woman, and her mother and herself kind of had a strained relationship for a very long time. And this exercise asked her to just really identify the feelings and sentiments around how she was going to continue to show up as a mother, what regrets she had as a mother, as herself. It was a letter to herself 10 years in the future, right? That she's reading to herself. So she went through the exercise and she says, my mom and I have had a really strained relationship for years. And this exercise completely shifted our relationship. And it just so happened that week was her mom was getting remarried and all of the things. And she talked about how that exercise really just absolutely healed so many wounds and so many grudges that had been held on to, and remorse that had been held on to were released, and breakthrough happened in their relationship, both as a mom to her child, but also as a daughter to her mother. And that is the power of retreats. It is so much more than the beautiful location. Yes, that is so important. The beautiful location is so important. And if you're attending one of my retreats, you know that they are highly, highly intentional. I am a very intuition-based business owner. And so I read the signs that God puts directly in my face so that I know where we're going. So for example, this year we're going to London. I just kept seeing London everywhere. I automatically knew that London is where we have to be, which of course it is. Like, if you know my brand, it's perfect. It's the home of punk rock. It's also the home of high fashion and elevated fashion, and edgy fashion. And so La Dark Femme is happening in London, and it just makes the most sense. So even if this attendee didn't get to attend the retreat, she was still highly impacted because of the intentionality in the activities that I had set up for the retreat. I have another one for you. I have a client, it was her first time traveling, especially away from her kids. So not only is this her first time traveling, but it's her first time leaving her kids at home. And so there were an influx of feelings inside of her. And she was so anxious and she was so worried. And at the same time, she knew that she had to get in the room. And so she did. And 4 months later, 5 months later, here she is planning a trip to Europe on her own because she attended the Las Vegas retreat. And she realized that it's okay to have a life aside from all of your responsibilities. It's actually healthy for you to set time away from everyone, set time away from all of the expectations and the roles that you play and the hats that you wear. You actually need that reset in a way that's not a Sunday reset or spring cleaning. This has to be so highly intentional that you literally have to physically disconnect yourself from everyone and everything, creating again that safe space for clarity, that quietness, that stillness that you need. Now, I don't believe that we talked about it yet, but retreats, there is a study that shows that you will feel the physical effect of a retreat for 6 weeks after you return home. Why is that? Because we don't even realize it, because we're so on the go all the time as busy women. We don't even realize that our nervous system is dysfunctional and out of control. We don't even realize that the way that we're working, right? We call it ambition when in reality it's survival. And we've just reshifted that position to, no, this isn't survival mode. I'm just ambitious, without realizing that no, all you've done is shifted that and called it something else to justify the way that your nervous system continues to run. And what it is a recipe for major burnout and a nervous system breakdown. And so when you attend a retreat, you are allowing your nervous system to slow down. You are not allowing your nervous system to reset, recalibrate itself so that you can be completely grounded, completely aligned. It's important for us to identify the fact that we need to slow down. And a retreat does that for you. And you can feel that effect up to 6 weeks after you actually attend a retreat. And this was very true for me. Like I said, I've attended many retreats and I've hosted a retreat, and I'm hosting another one this year. And some of the breakthroughs that I have experienced is embodiment. The embodiment of becoming the woman that I am today as a business owner, as a parent, as a wife, as the powerhouse that I am. And so for me, the retreats have been a space where I have been able to embody layers of myself that before I tried to repress. And were it not for the space that was being held for me in those rooms, I don't know if I would have ever experienced that breakthrough. The second thing that it did, especially if we're talking about retreats for leadership, is it allowed me the space to ask, what kind of a leader do I have to become? Earlier, I mentioned, who do I have to become in this season, right? And so having that foresight and that intentionality really allowed me to identify what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, to journal every morning without having somebody that I need to make breakfast for, or somebody that I needed to clean in the toilet, right? Like, these are things that are very real and raw, and having no one to care for but myself, I allowed myself that opportunity to ask the questions and face the fears that I just didn't have the time to do before. And so it did make me a better leader, because I had the opportunity to ask the tough questions and identify what are the areas that I still needed to work in. The next thing it did is it gave me strategic partners. We talked about how high value, highly ambitious, highly successful women have strategic networks that go beyond networking events and masterminds and digital courses. Strategic relationships are built in retreat spaces. The biggest projects and the most exciting projects that I have worked on in the last 2 years have been because of women that I have met at a retreat. And we have fostered those relationships, and we've shared stories that we probably have never shared out loud in our communities. And they have been able to identify strengths within me and vice versa. I've been able to identify strengths within them, and we've been able to create offers and activities that fuel us creatively, but also allow us to show up in our cross communities in a way that is highly impactful, in a way that is highly successful and very transformational. And that is all because of a retreat. The next thing is that it gave me my best ideas. So I have a 6-week course that is all about how to achieve work-life balance as a busy woman. And that course came to me during my Bali retreat. And perhaps one of the biggest takeaways that I have had from attending a retreat is how it allows my family to show up. The permission that it has now given, for example, for my husband, he takes 2 weeks for Sturgis, and for my children to see us travel without that guilt. And as they grow up, they have their own families, they'll be able to do the same thing because I'm modeling a lifestyle that was not necessarily modeled for me, but I wish it would have been, because that would have saved me so much guilt as a parent. And so I get to model what's possible for my children. I get to model what's possible for my community, for them to see me travel 35 hours to Bali, for them to see me travel to Mexico, for them to see me travel to London and Vegas and do these things that perhaps they never even thought was possible for them. But now, because somebody like that looks like them, that has a similar background to them, that can relate to them, is doing that, that shows them that it's possible for them as well. Retreats are an investment. I am not going to sugarcoat anything for you. That's not what I'm about on this channel. Retreats are an investment, but they are the number one, hands down, best investment that you will ever make for yourself as a leader in both your business and your family. If you are interested in joining me for London, London is 5 days, 4 nights. It's happening October the 19th through the 23rd. It is happening in London. We are staying in a mini castle. We do have a private chef that is going to be cooking all of your meals for you. I literally don't want you to have to worry about anything. We have your transportation taken care of, your excursions taken care of. You have pockets for rest, because again, we boss hard. We need to rest hard. We are traveling this year under the theme La Dark Femme. It is a woman that is just all gas, no breaks, a woman whose presence is felt before she even walks into a room, a woman who is all her own. She makes no apologies and she asks for no permission. And if that is you, then you need to be in London. Aside from that, you also receive coaching 30 days beforehand, and we do nightly trainings, which is really, really exciting. And these conversations are honestly, they're next level. It's a you have to be there kind of experience. You do have 2 options for your room. You can do a private suite, or you can share a room with a woman and build that sisterhood, build that connection. I will leave all of the information down below so that you can book your 15-minute alignment call. We can get you locked into your room ASAP. We do have payment plans available, and I will see you in London. I'm so excited for you to experience the transformation that is attending a retreat. You will never be the same. Sweet nightmares, Space Fam.